Now, what do I mean by that in this S5E6 episode, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Blade Runner 2147. And in it, so I'm not saying that there should be like some forbidden or, not, you don't have to and it's forbidden, but, coffee shop gossips are kind of pointless in the long run when we talk about it and we look in the bigger picture. Now, of course, it's not always that you go out in coffee shops with people of your compatibility and preference and you sit across them in a coffee shop and you want to talk about what some popular people did, how much retarded they look in your eyes, celebrities, VIP guests, Hollywood actors, actresses, celebrities, YouTubers, and stuff. Now, I get that in the long run. On why people want to, some form of chit-chats and gossips aren't bad in the small dosages when they're like a moderate. Now I get that, so I approve that 100%, sure. Moderately, we'll talk about those like 5 to 10 minutes about like certain person, and then we will move on to, another topics. But my point in this video is that gossiping shouldn't be like a podcast in which you guys are spending 2 or 3 hours gossiping about a certain person in Hollywood, or as I mentioned just a few moments ago, YouTubers or whichever you want to gossip about. Why? Because those people don't know who you are in the long run. Now I'm talking about in general when you're sitting in any coffee shops and you're talking about XY people. Those people, 99.99% don't even know who you are, so you can... Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't say, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, moderately, yeah, sure, we'll have to... I can bitch and moan about Elon Musk as much as I want to, but it won't change much in the long run because he's getting billions and I'm grinding from YouTube in order for me to make myself a successful career. Now, the reason is I can bitch and moan about him or any other person, or... Very good. The deals are very good, the left and right, it should be very good, But, that has been oversaturated and done so many times that me imitating him, it's kind of, they've been doing it for past 10 years on the spot, exactly, more or less, about him. So I'm sure he's seen millions of imitations of him, but, back to the main point, what I'm trying to say in this video, if I'm sounding confusing, apologies, but I'm trying to point that those people don't care about you. Now, I can talk about keeping up with, the certain family, but that certain family doesn't give a fuck about me, or ever will give a fuck about me, So even if that same rule applies to you, if you're sitting in a coffee shop, now I can criticize. You're openly allowed to criticize whoever you want, except for some people from certain states and stuff, That's not allowed, man. It's not allowed. Anti-skeptic. The point is that in those coffee shops, now I can talk about Euphoria, I can talk about anything, that I dislike. But as I mentioned, it should be moderately put when you're going there, because what we are trying to do now, I understand when you do it twice. Yeah, you do one time, let's say you go out on Friday and Saturday and you want to get things out of your chest, perfectly fine and legit. I support that 1,000,000,000%. I'm behind it. I support it. But on the third weekend, so it's kind of getting boring for me to bitch and moan about that same celebrity, whether it's from Hollywood or YouTube or whichever celebrity in your country that you're from, if you're watching and you kind of want to talk bad about them. Now, I'm not saying you should, because yeah, I've bitched and moaned about a lot of people in my life, especially celebrities, and yes, I have my 2 cents for every like Serbian singer and pop and whichever of they're famous from. It can go from I don't want to give them names or commercials, but the more famous ones, the mainstream ones in Sorabendia, and in it, so I could give my 2 cents. I could give my 2 cents, but in the long run, does it do any good for me? So I can use it as a fuel. You can use it as a fuel. No question about it. No bullshit about it. Fuck no. But it shouldn't be your main focus or main plot when you're talking with somebody about somebody. It should be like off topic, like before you go to the toilet and you fresh yourself or whatever the fuck, and then you come back and then you continue with a different topic. The point is that those people that we gossip about, they don't know who we are. No, I'm not joking. So I'll give you an example of just, I don't even have to mention his name, but I'll clue you in. It's like the most mainstream movie of 1997, and he played the main character, and the ship is sinking. I can talk about him all I want, but it won't change anything. So sure, I can say he's done some shady things in the past. How Don's Plum movie with him and the former Spider-Man from the mid 2000s. It's it's like a not recommendable movie, and they themselves they hate it up to this day because it kind of, according to the people and the sources, when making Don's Plum, they are who they are, how they're behaving in real life, but caught on movie screen. Now, whether that's true or not, that's not up to me because nobody was there except those people that were with them at the same time. Where I'm going with this, so I'm just going that you shouldn't make like a central plot of me gossiping about famous people, what are they doing in the spare time with the money. We could, but it's not making any point for you. You should focus on yourselves. You should gossip about how you wanna own up whenever you fucking go to any city in Europe or in America or Australia, Antarctica, Arctic, whatever the fuck you wanna go. That should be your main plot. These people themselves, as I mentioned a few moments ago, we can gossip about the sinking ship guy and his main role and who he is as a person in his private life, but as we are inhaling oxygen and he is also inhaling oxygen, he doesn't give a fuck about us. And probably, I think after Titanic, he stopped giving a fuck about us in the first place. Now, what do I mean by that? So I mean that him, as an actor or as a person, he kind of stopped caring way too many years ago, like maybe 30 plus years ago, because he was born in 1974. And by the time he was 23 and he was making the sinking ship movie with Kate Winslet, I think he kind of saw the bigger and the greater picture of him not caring to what people say about him. So we can bitch and moan about celebrities all we want. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying in this video alone, in general, that we should stop giving them attention. As I mentioned at the beginning, sure, moderately, sure, we can mention them. They did some really shady things. Now I can talk about that incident in 2022 between two famous YouTubers and the interview that went really, really bad, and the boxing and the boxing events and stuff. We can, but that damage has been done irrevocably. So it's not that we can fix it. We could have, maybe we should have, maybe we would have, but it's in the past. So not much that we can do about it. And I'll make a video about certain YouTuber in a relative future. So just stay with me on this channel. The point is that when it comes to coffee shop gossiping, so it gives you clues you in when you are speaking with a person across in a coffee shop. If it's raining, for example, Friday afternoon, 7-ish, 8 p.m.-ish, and you're talking across them in the coffee shop, and you're I have to give you in the brackets is because if you're gossiping about certain people from your surroundings in general, there is a distinct possibility that person across you is maybe doing the same thing when you're not around. So those coffee shop gossips always go in two-way streets, because if you're putting on spotlight certain persons and certain people, there is a possibility they will talk shit about you as bad as well. Now, don't get me all those people who take it literally. I'm not saying we should stop talking about it, because it's a never-ending social cycle of people having to bitch and moan about something. All I'm saying that it should be lowered down to like some minimum. So yeah, we should dedicate attention to certain people, but those famous guy in the Hollywood, now, I'm not saying we should stop criticizing them for whatever they're doing. If they're doing something retarded and it's really detrimental to us, and they're saying some things that have nothing to do with reality or the facts, fuck yeah, I'm gonna talk about you because you're full of shit. If you're lying to people, if you're bullshitting them, I'm going to talk first about you because you're lying to the people. But if I'm going to comment what they're doing in their spare time, I don't think they really care about that much. They're just living on autopilot with all that money in their ass. So me saying it's bad or a good thing, because imagine if you're in the place of the guy who made the sinking ship movie in 1997. So the reason I'm not mentioning names is because I don't like giving commercials to those people, because they're already famous as they are, as I'm making this video and inhaling this oxygen. Inhale, exhale, whatever the fuck. But the point is, put yourself in their shoes. If you're busy, by busy I mean all the freaking day and all the freaking night, do you seriously think you have time to think about two random people talking shit about you in coffee shops or restaurants, taverns, parties, and stuff like that? So we could, but it really doesn't do us much. And I can vent out. Trust me, when I'm making this video, trust me, I have a shit ton of people I can talk trash about and talk shit about. But I decided not to, because I've decided to mention about certain people in my YouTube videos for a fundamental reason: to vent out, air my grievances, and just explain and reciprocate about what I've been seeing in the past decade and plus, about whether it's my club of Partizan Belgrade, whether it's football club Chelsea, whether it's Serbia, and what the fuck my people are doing, my people in general. What is their correspondence, what is their perception, and me explaining or about musing people. Now, I sure as fuck am not going to waste time talking about celebrities, if we can call them like that, because some people are famous just because being stupid, some people are famous just because people chose them to be famous, and some people who are famous in Serbia. Now, all these sentences I just made a few seconds ago, I'm talking about famous people in Sorabendia. I'm talking about they really don't give a fuck about us. As Michael Jackson made that song many years ago, they really don't care about us. They probably never will, unless you're in the radar or spectrum or vision or kaleidoscope. If they see you, they will take a notice of you. If they don't see you, they will not even acknowledge you in the first place. No, I'm not a Roman Reigns fan, shut up. Now the point is, as I'm making this video, is that when it comes to gossips themselves, it's good to vent, but it shouldn't be your central point, because those people don't care. And yes, we can, but you should always focus on yourself. Even if when you're taking a break in a coffee shop and sitting across a person of your choosing. Now, in that case of context, now you can talk and bitch about and about certain people. That's perfectly fine. But it shouldn't be like on your third weekend, when you make it in a row. Let's say you make it in a row based on your obligations. You can bitch and moan, but it's kind of losing the flavor, the panache of gossiping about somebody. Because sure, it can be like 2 weekends in a row at best, in which yes, we're going to gossip about them and whatever the fuck not. But the point is that it shouldn't be your central main point, because gossiping, and when you go out with people, there, as I mentioned at the middle of my video, there is a distinct possibility there are people in your hometown, where you're from currently, from whichever place in the world, from all those 7 continents and beyond. They're also gossiping about you did something about somebody like 5 to 6 and 10 plus years ago, and trust me, it's still the central main point, even though that situation had transpired, happened, and people moved on from it. But there are some people who really grasp towards that event, even though it was like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 plus years ago, and nobody really cares about them. If you were to ask them, why do you care about that event that you were not even present in the first place, they won't give you that much answer. It's like in lucid dreaming, when you ask persons that you see in your dreams, when it comes to lucid, and you ask them what the fuck is going on, you won't get any concrete answer, only a silence. And that's exactly the point. So when you talk about them, you should be talking about yourself, as what you're trying to do, with your close circle, not with somebody who you don't know. When it comes to strangers themselves, you have to decide and choose, and to see if you're feeling good about sharing about some certain topics or subjects or whatever the fuck. The point is that this central gossiping is really doesn't do you much, because if you're wasting energy on people who don't even think about you. Now, I'm not talking about Hollywood celebrities or YouTubers. Those people will never think about you unless they see you on social media. Social media is the radar in which people can detect your presence. But unlike this, out of the radar of social media, nah, they don't care. They wouldn't talk about you or listen to what you have to say, because you have to, when it comes to gossiping, and you have to focus on yourself. and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, some funny events that you had in your history, not people from Hollywood or people in your surroundings or famous celebrities in Serbia or in other countries. That shouldn't be your main focal point. It should be occasionally from time to time, hey, this famous guy did something stupid, retarded, he said this, and I think he's fucking retarded about something, saying some awkward shit that doesn't make any sense in the realm of the world. Trust me, celebrities themselves, they love to talk shit that has nothing to do with reality because they're detached themselves from that reality. So it should be, when I meant pointless in this video, the gist of it, pointless in the sense in the long run. You can occasionally, but always bringing them up, doesn't do you any favors. So think about it. So when you're talking about those people that you want to talk about, think about it. Have they ever thought about you in the first place when they sat in some coffee shops, car drivings, drive-thrus, restaurants, taverns, parties, exits, whatever the fuck? Have they ever thought about you or talked about you? I doubt it, because you have to see the people who operate on a different level, they won't really talk about you because you haven't given them a reason to. We are getting triggered as what we watch the celebrities and the people who are, famous for the sake of being famous. They really don't think about you that much in the first place. So think about it before you think about going to a coffee shop and gossiping some random people. Now I know Elon Musk is a retard, but me venting about him won't do me much favors, only just some rebellion and me explaining about what do I consider him doing wrong. But maybe some other time, but I'm not interested in talking about him. Just focus on yourself. Until then, thank you so much for coming to this channel, Blade Runner 2147, and become straight edge, follow Christ, Christ is king, fuck the government, and remember, the true revolution comes from changing and helping people in making a better system. And fuck communism, greatest deception in the world.
Bye.